from Security Matters. Let's now get a bit of perspective on the appointment of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as the DG of the W.T.O. Joining us now to discuss this further is a development economist, Professor Ken Ife. Thanks a lot, Professor, for joining us on the News at 10.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, there are many firsts today, first female, first African, first Nigerian. Just how significant is this appointment for Nigeria? Let's start by getting that reaction.
Oh, extremely important, not just for Nigeria, but for Africa, ECOWAS, and in fact, black people all over the world, they are celebrating this. And I think it's square peg in a square hole. And I'll tell you something, I've been listening to your commentaries on her. Something that is missing is that Ngozi is an institution builder. You know, in the 2005, when she negotiated the write-down of the $30 billion we were owing, and the Paris Club forgiveness, all that stuff, she actually set up the debt management office and then masterminded the Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2007, which created even the FRC. And that document guides up to today our fiscal responsibility, fiscal transparency, accountability, and prudence in public finance management. And you can even see that as she's just resuming, she has actually hit the ground running in WTO with her activities in Gavi, in making sure that the real problem, number one problem, priority for WTO today is free flow of vaccines. She has been part of the negotiation for this vaccine. At least 20% of the developing countries are guaranteed that we're going to get it. And then we can now go and look for the remaining 30% of the population. So that is just to tell you just how skilled that she is in institution building. And also she brings a lot of traits into this. I'm glad that there was the showdown with the Trump administration, and we ended up with a triumph of multilateralism over bilateral philosophy of American first, which Trump was pushing. But again, that actually brought out the real reason why she has to focus on the biggest challenges facing WTO: investment, intellectual property rights protection, the trade imbalance, and then, of course, the negotiations. Where are the trade negotiations, the tariff negotiations,
Prof,
trade and services? There are a lot of things, and she's aware of the enormity of these challenges facing her today. Not least, of course, the women in cross-border trade and MSMEs, and all of these are challenges that are facing her, and Africa is going to benefit a lot more from her, to be honest. We're getting a voice, and then our AFCTA has a chance to succeed.
Listening to what she was saying and what you're saying about her hitting the ground, she says she's coming to the organization with a clear set of eyes. What do you think she means by that?
Well, the thing is, she is fully aware, because she knows that, the skills that she has on negotiating, and also prior experience in the World Bank of organizing groups of nations and blocks, regional blocks. She's got that in front of her. And the thing is this: from 1995, WTO was formed. It's a rules-based organization. It's a membership organization. It goes by, the decision-making process is clumsy because it's by consensus. So there's no veto. And it requires a lot of skill to get traction on any agreement. And there are many agreements. There are so many reforms that she's going to have to deliver in the next few years to ensure that the institution lives up to their expectation. If America is threatening to leave, it just tells you just how badly they feel about not getting enough justice. You had someone like Trump say that equated the appellate body in the decision-making, they have a dispute resolution mechanism and an appellate body. He characterized that appellate body as what you call, he said is a judicial, we call them judicial activists. That's how he described them. And then, of course, because the confidence is not there, he had to invoke American trade law and then unilaterally imposed sanction on China, triggering a trade war, and then raise the tariff. So all of those actions are some of the things that she's going to have to work to stop trade protectionism. You saw what happened at the onset of the COVID. Many countries stopped exporting APIs, exporting food, and then there was also argument about vaccine. Are you going to let so all of those are big-time challenges that she has to face. She has to reform the WTO decision-making mechanism, the governance machinery, and then all of the outstanding negotiations. Let me give you an example. We have a trade facilitation agreement that has been signed. 54 African members, we've all signed. We didn't sign because we are ready for the international trade. We just signed hoping that we will benefit more from the capacity building that was promised on strengthening institutional capacity, technical capacity, and organizational capacity. But some of those are still to come. And you see her saying that she's calling on World Bank and all to bring more resources. That's exactly what she's alluding to. But I have to tell you, one that is good news to women is women are suffering on cross-border trade. You go to cross-border trade, you see where people are staying 2 days, 3 days, because in the nature of our informal trade is that women are overrepresented. And they go with their goods and they are kept in the border for 2 or 3 days. And if you look at statistics on health,
Yes, I'm afraid I'll probably have to come in there.
More HIV,
indeed, Prof. The task before her is Herculean, and we watch her in the coming days. Thank you so much, development economist Professor Kenny Faye, for joining us on the News at 10. Thank you.